Welcome to Insight into Independence, the official mortgage talk show brought to you by Independence Home Loans. Yay! I'm so excited. Okay, first of all, welcome, Rachel, to Arizona.
So happy to be here.
We are so excited to have you here. I wanted you to just take a second and kind of introduce yourself and your position role and a little bit of information about where you work, because you don't work in office.
Correct, yes.
So take it away.
Awesome. Well, I'm Rachael Shelton. I am one of our operations supervisors here at Independence Home Loans. I just help to maintain part of our processing team, making sure we get our loans in and get them out to closing very smoothly. I do work in Detroit, based in Detroit from home, which is working from home is definitely really nice because you can just hone in and focus. But I always love coming in the office. It's always a very rejuvenating time because, you see everybody that you work with and talk to on a daily basis. So that's awesome. But been in the business for quite a long time, right? Like this will be working on year 8, I believe, at this point. Yes.
8 years. And how has that process been for you? Can you believe that it's been 8 years?
No.
Has it been quicker than that?
I feel like I'm still like 25 right now. So I'm like, how have I spent almost a decade in the business, which is great,
And that was at UWM,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Who's one of our biggest partners.
Yes.
What was that experience like? We love UWM. They inspired, basically this entire business. So.
Yes. So working at UWM was really an opportunity that I wasn't really expecting. Obviously, there's not a lot of people that go to school for mortgage, to go into the mortgage business. So I started as an underwriter and worked my way up to senior underwriter within VA underwriting. That's the realm that I kind of really grew in and got my SAR designation, was a team leader. And at that point, I went into more of a training team leader role where we had to onboard. It was right after the COVID shutdown. It was time to bring everybody back. And it was we need more help. So we, me and another 20 other leaders, we onboarded, over 1,000 people in the course of a month, or not a month, a year. So it was just a constant flow of onboarding, bringing people up to speed to be an underwriter, and then bring them, send them out to the floor and out to the world to do work. So after that point, I was looking for a new challenge. I was like, I've been here, I've done that. So now, I was able to get into a role that, I would call it more of a solutions analyst role. So we would work with top clients with UWM, top broker accounts, and we would help solve any issues that came up on their loans at any point in the process with UWM.
Wow.
So, with loans, you have your underwriting, but you have all these other steps to get from start to finish as well. So a lot of random things would come up, and it was a great challenge because it was parts of the process I wasn't familiar with. So just technology, running AUS, when the loan first gets into the door and you're like, I'm running into an issue here, or you get all the way into closing and servicing and maybe we didn't collect for the insurance or something came up, or borrower just needs to get in contact with servicing to set up their payment and they can't get there. So being able to kind of see front to back and that process with UWM was really helpful. But that's also where I got to meet Independence Home Loans.
Ooh, look at that segue. That was a pro segue, by the way.
Thank you.
So when you met IHL, what was that? How did that initiate, I guess?
So I met Eric first with our account executive at the time, or account executive, Aus, and they brought me in on a conversation with him. And, it was because they needed somebody to be able to confidently talk about VA underwriting guidelines. That's my bread and butter, live and breathe it. It's a very niche type of set of guidelines, right? The investor, it's not like your Fannie Freddie. So got into that conversation and was just I was there as support. What does the underwriting process look here at UWM? When he was kind of asking those types of questions and okay, well, what happens if your underwriters do this or that? How do you guys handle active duty income and whatnot? What is your process for other things? And so it's okay, I was able to have that confident answer so he could understand our part of the process at UWM at the time. So, and then I began working when Independence started as their concierge, is what we called it, in my solutions analyst role with UWM. Worked with them. So I was here at the beginning, but I was on the UWM side and helping push loans for CTC or hey, I need to go in these I don't know, 50 loans, update the closing date so they can get started on the VBOE process. Like, you know, so, and then it was like, okay, I think it's time for something different. And here I am.
And they were like, come over.
Yes.
That crossover. I think it's really wonderful, though, that you kind of get to keep your people from both sides.
Yes.
Because everybody here loves UWM. We're still repping them on all of our T-shirts and everything. So, and your husband is still at UWM,
Yes, he is.
right? So, is there like that kind of dynamic of, well, I'm over here and you're over there, but I would imagine that it's kind of nice to have it a little bit separate. Of like, you guys aren't working on the exact same thing, on the exact same people. So what's that like?
You know, that was a needed step. You know, we love each other and we are very professional in the workplace. You know, a lot of people didn't realize we were married, or, you know, sometimes it's just, you keep it professional, right? But he has worked his way up in the underwriting side over there. Yes. So, but he was always in the non-agency HELOC realm, in the conventional realm. I was really in the government. So that separation was good. But we would talk about work a little bit, but he did not, you know, my husband just doesn't love to talk about work at home. And I'm like, okay, sure. So the dynamic there has been, you know, it's very interesting, you know. So, but now that I'm over here, you know, I'm getting into other loan products other than VA. So we do have our jumbos and our HELOCs, which HELOC is with UWM and even with any other lender. It's a very like small product too. Yeah. And they have additional items on top of what your standard Fannie investor needs. So sometimes like if you need like that particular loan product requires documentation that others wouldn't for a conventional loan. And so some people are like, hey, go talk to him. And hey, can you tell me if this is really needed? Or hey, can we get an exception for this? And I'm like, let me see what I can do. Like, he's going to be home in about 30 minutes. Yeah. And most of the time, like, he loves to help out. But I do have other people that I will go to first to help. Yeah. You know, and not because he can't do it, but just I can access them quicker. So, and they'll help me out because, you know, I've worked with them too. So
I wanted to talk about some of your interests outside of work because you are such a creative and fun person that I don't know if I'm sure a lot of your people that you work with every day know, but I don't know if like the general IHL, like when they message Rachael Shelton, they don't know that you are a huge antique person. Yes. Which is so cool. So you have your own brand. Yes, right? I do. Can you talk about that? That's so exciting.
So I have an Instagram account. It's called Midnight Voyager Vintage. So it's just this little thing that I started doing. You know, I'm a mom, and when you become a mom, it's like trying to find your own identity again. It took a couple years, and I was like, I need a hobby. I need something to do outside of this. And I started, like, my first thing was I found a bunch of old books I got for $1 in a giant grocery bag. And I looked, and they were from the 1800s. And I was like, this is cool. It's like a piece of history, right? So that sparked it. That happened a couple years ago. And it just sparked this, like, interest of, okay, what other things can I find?
What else? It's like a treasure trove.
Exactly. But I also love a deal. So I don't want to pay like, you know, a ton of money. So I'm like always thrifting and hunting for things. So I've got, you know, my husband's just like, really, you know, what else are you bringing home? But I've really built it into just our lifestyle of just how we create our home. You know, it's sustainable, but I just think it's like you have a piece of history right here. Absolutely. How many hands has this book passed through? Or I love paintings, like oil paintings, and like I got one it's literally like this big of Italian ruins, and I got it for $7 from an estate sale, and I'm like, I just love a good deal.
Doing.
Yeah. Yes. So it's a really cool time, and
I think I don't know, it gives such a wonderful nod to you as a person because you're able to dig for those treasures. I'm on the hunt for it. Yes. So I feel like it's very related to what you do every day because you're finding very creative solutions for a lot of little things that are hidden in nooks and crannies that I don't know if a lot of people would have found. Yeah. So do you think that there's any crossover between that as well?
Yes.
And how so?
Which happens to be just one of the things that, you know, I really like about my role is people come to me for problems. They're like, hey, I've got this issue. I don't know what to do. Do you see a way around it because of just my knowledge base with underwriting guidelines? And so it's like you're looking at the picture of the loan and you're like, okay, here's where I need to be. And can I make the case with what I have here to say you're meeting the guidelines here, especially with VA. VA can be very gray and it's a lot of underwriter discretion. So sometimes it's making a case to, hey, get comfortable with this. Here's how you should get comfortable.
So very complicated gray area process.
Yes,
right?
yes. Okay. You kind of have to like get the underwriter comfortable with what they're looking at and why it's okay. And that's where like my past background has really come in to really help with that. And you're getting creative. It's like, okay, you have to think outside of the box, which is definitely needed. Sometimes it's easy for underwriters to, get tunnel vision. I see this set of guidelines, I see this sentence, and I need this exact sentence. And it's like, well, this income documentation or payroll ledger or whichever is giving you the same information you would have gotten with this pay stub. But maybe we just couldn't get the pay stub because their HR person's on maternity leave or something. You try to take what's happening in the borrower's life in their real world and applying it to how can I digest this to make it comfortable for the underwriter to make that decision that this is okay.
Yeah. And what do you think is a pretty big misconception people may have about that department?
About as far as like underwriting goes?
Yeah, about underwriting, just maybe that it's so quick, so easy.
Yes. So it's like, when you're in underwriting, you're getting the loans fed to you and you're never not looking for something to do, right? So you're getting these things and it's on your desk. You're looking at, your loan profile and you're doing it up, working it up. Okay, here's what I need to meet guidelines, whichever, you spit it out and you're moving on. There's not really a lot of empathy.
Yeah.
So that was something that I learned at the tail end of, my career with UWM, and definitely what I've learned getting into independence too, right, is there has to be a level of empathy with the borrower situation, and you have to be able to really understand what's going on in their life to make sure that, yes, you need documentation to make the underwriter, be able to meet the guidelines and stuff. But I think that is something that is a misconception as far as on the underwriter's part when they're looking at a loan. It's just a piece of paper. It's just a way for them to hit commitment and to make their bonus. But it's, hey, this is a real person. This is their livelihood, and what this transaction could be doing for them, could be setting them up for financial success, right? They're doing it, refinancing it to maybe they're doing renovations on their house. Maybe they're looking at, helping a kid go off to college, whatever the case may be, pay down some medical bills. So that is something that I think, a lot of people in this industry, our side, on our side, we get that. We hear it every day from the borrowers, but, on the underwriting side, it's not always something that they see.
I feel like why we even tried to start this show in the beginning was we wanted to bring that human aspect instead of it just being like a very digital, this is it. So to know that there are people that in entire department-wide, company-wide, that really care about our client's experience and like think about having the word empathy in their mind going into something, I think is fantastic. So does it make you feel good to know that like after, I don't know, maybe a tricky, like we were talking about, Treasure Grove situation, that you were able to find a solution?
That is honestly, it's one of the things I've come to realize helps me validate why I'm here. So it's really more so like I love getting a problem, working on a solution, getting it to the underwriter. Our processing team does a great job setting everything up. And, there's just sometimes it just needs a second pair of eyes. And so it's like, okay, here's the solution. Let's work with the underwriter. Let's work with the leader over there at the lender. And let's talk about it. Let's get it done. And it's just being able to take it and then get it to the finish line when you think there's nothing else I can do at it, or nothing else I can do with that loan, with what we have. I thought we've given everything and I thought this was a lost cause, but being able to get them to the door and closing is really, it's a big validation piece,
And the number one thing that we've heard is that the community here at IHL is no one's ever going to tell you no or that they can't help you with that. So do you ever have a moment maybe from somebody here that you could shout out or even talk about that was like, if it wasn't for them, or I feel like, or are you that person for most people? Because I've always heard like, oh, thank God for Rachael because this wouldn't have happened.
I really think like connections I've made with UWM has really helped with that, and being able to take who I've met and put them to work, for us, essentially like, hey, I need your help on this loan. Let's get it done, has really helped. But I mean, I've worked with a lot of people here, every department I've really tried to help whenever they come up with with an idea, or, hey, I can't get past this or whichever. And it's not even just UWM, it's just in general. And so being able to help everybody has been really great, between, appraisal desk, helping them out with NPR waivers, and, trying to like understand how can we, the borrower can't make a repair. It's a significant liability or a significant, financial cost. And then trying to work with the VA, working with the appraisal desk, get to the VA, propose this, write it up, and say, hey, can we like just forgo this repair requirement altogether? And it works most of the time. But honestly, it's like, I love my team, and I love not even just like Team Rach, but everybody on processing. Yeah. Brian and Craig are really helpful too. They've really helped when I joined the team acclimate with the other investors, because we do work with a lot of other people, and so not just UWM. So it was like, okay, applying that knowledge and then pushing it and applying it to these other lenders, that's really helped out. So they were like, just go after it, just get it. And I was like, okay, let's go.
So wonderful.
Yes.
I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
How do you balance the precision of VA underwriting with like a very fast-paced environment here at IHL, especially with how much we're expanding and growing?
Yes. Because we've got a lot, and we're not even done. Yeah. So, when it comes to underwriting, you have to make decisions. That's what I learned. Like, you have to come up with something. You just have to make a decision. You have to move on. You can't spin your wheels. So within this environment, with our operations and, within processing and just working on our loans, you just have to make a decision and go with it. You can't just sit and spin your wheels, because all of that time that you're spinning your wheels, you could be missing out on pushing out more loans to closing, or pushing out, more time to work with a borrower to get a document, things like that. So it's being able to understand and see, okay, I need to stop, I need to make a decision and just execute it. And then if it doesn't happen, so be it. If it doesn't work, try something else. But if you don't try, you won't know. And being in this environment, fast paced, that is what you have to have. Like, if you're going to sit and spin your wheels, you're not going to get anything done, so it's like, okay, I tried to push in, 2 loans for submission for CTC, and I'm not really sure if the document that I have is going to work. But instead of sitting and thinking about, okay, should I go and get something else? It's like, just send it. Just get it done. Just send it. Let's let the underwriter make the decision, and, we'll keep it moving from there. And you also have to be cognizant of your own spinning wheels, right? If you need help, speak up, and just don't sit on it. So
I think that would be the one thing that I would be thinking about constantly is I'd be like, okay, so everyone's good, but am I losing my mind right now? Is this going to work? So is there a difference in terms of teaching people how to apply the skills that you learned in their own way versus like making sure that you can still apply your own?
Yes. Yeah. And it depends on the day. Each day is different, but there are often times where we talk about time management with our team, and okay, how are you structuring your day? When are you doing your call outs? When are you looking at loans to resubmit for CTC? When are you doing your follow-ups, and how do you organize your day? Because we also, not only do you have a production metric, you have communication. You have to keep your client service internally and externally, going forward, and just keeping it at top notch, because that's us, we want to make sure every experience we have is top notch. So it's talking about time management, when you're talking to your processors and saying, hey, I'm going to recommend you do your call outs first thing in the morning. You have these here, you have to get them done. It's what you have to do for the day. So get it done. And then you can look at these other items. And for me, it's like, okay, I look at my day. What do I have to get done no matter what? And I'm like, okay, let's do it. And sometimes I do have to refresh myself and stop, because I find myself in 5 things. And I'm like, I'm in 5 things, but I'm not moving anything. So I need to stop, look at one file, finish it up, close it out, move on to the next. So there is where you do have to take your own advice. You do have to say, okay, let me step back for a minute. Let's reacclimate. Let's keep it moving.
So what would you say people would say in terms of like working with Rachael means this?
I mean, it's a tough one.
It's our favorite question to ask everybody.
It's a tough one. I mean, you know, the common feedback I've gotten is like, you know, I'll get it done. Like, it's just, it's like, okay, if I send it to her, I know we're in good hands. I know she's going to find a way, you know, no matter what it is. I'd like to think that that's the case in anything I get into. So that's what I would say. It's just, you know, I like to help people. So I think having that openness about helping, I think, is what brings in, you know,
absolutely,
that opportunity to help everybody. So it's just like, I want to say I can trust her to help me with this and offer me accurate, you know, logical guidance on it.
And does that make you feel good?
Yes.
Like, I want you to be proud of yourself for that, because that sentence alone, I would be like, oh my God, that's on a t-shirt. I'm looking at that every day for myself. That's so wonderful.
Thank you.
And I want to ask, where do you think, I mean, this growth is leading? What do you think is next? And we ask everybody this.
Okay.
And some people are like, I don't know. Whether that's a new office, and like, what do you think?
Honestly, you know, I really think that there's just so much opportunity here. Yeah. There's honestly, and because of the phases that we're in right now, there's so much that we haven't even honed in, or not. I'm trying to think of like the right way to say it, you know.
There's so much potential.
There's so much potential. Yeah. I want to help everybody. So I think being able to like travel and do some trainings and like, because I like being in person, but I like being at home too. But it's like getting out and helping out with, you know, other parts of the business if it comes up, because just because it's, you know, I want to make sure I'm using all of my tools in my tool belt and helping as much as I can. So, I mean, specifically what that looks like, I have no idea.
We know what it looks like. Designing this very set. When we were telling you, we were back at UWM. We just got cleared to start this set and start building it. We had no idea the colors. Rachel helped us with the colors. We sent her chairs when we were at IKEA. Even though she was across the country. So she will help you not in a loan sense, but still find a way at IHL, which blows my mind. So we have her to thank for all of this. Truly, I hope you know that your tool belt is plentiful.
I love it.
And everybody loves it. And we are so grateful. So I just want you to know that even something's going wrong in underwriting, at least marketing loves. You always have a friend in us.
Yes, so I love that.
I'm so grateful to have you on today. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Is there anything else that you want to add at all?
I don't really have anything, but no, I'm really excited just to see like how this podcast develops. I think just bringing on, this is like it's a good step for us, you know, just as a company, but I think it gives us an opportunity to hear everybody else that's here and just get insight into their brain. So I didn't even mean to do that, and it just kind of happened.
It's been a whirlwind. It's been really fun, but we wanted to bring light because here, I mean, the LOs and sales gets lots of love. We want to make sure that it's equal as possible, and that women, especially who have been in very, very male-dominant roles, killing it. And then being like, oh, I'm just going to try this, and it working so beautifully, more than we could have ever hoped for.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. That's it.
Thank you.